My name is Jeff and I'm with E-Z-MRP, and this is part 4 of building the widget. In part 3 we had gone over creating the purchase orders, the blanket purchase orders, to make sure we're getting all of our raw material in. So what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward in time, and we are going to receive some of our purchase orders. There's 2 ways to receive your purchase orders. You can actually receive them right here on the supply side, right here. So I could go in here and I can just say on the 24th, I'm going to go ahead and receive these, and I'm going to receive 800 of them. Increased quantity on hand for receipt of 800, yes. And it gives me my audit record. It shows that the exact quantity is 800. Before I had a balance of 0. Now I have a new balance of 800. And I can change my cost of these parts and my total cost of my purchase order. And that is a fast way of receiving, is on your supply side. Just keep in mind, if you receive on your supply side, the system does not give you an opportunity to create a receiving document. So I'm going to receive the remaining purchase orders from the receivables, and that is in our purchase orders. Now I go to my receiving, select find. And as you can see, I just received this 800 pieces already, so it's been previously received. However, I do have 2 lines that still need to be received. And so I am going to go ahead and receive them in to inventory. And you can do partials. So if I decide I only want to, they only sent me, say, 800 of these, I can actually change that to 800, and it will track my back ordered quantities. And ready to receive items as shown on receiving form. Inventory quantity will be increased by the quantities to be received. Okay to proceed. Yes. And I get an audit record for each line. And I can make notations. I can assign a serial or a lot number, and I can make notes. And if there are any defectives here, I can make some changes and put it into scrap. So these audit records, we do have another video about how the audit records and the many uses the audit records have. So receiving is complete, and here is my receiving document. I print this, sign it, and turn it into whoever I want, or take it to a PD, save it to a PDF, and send it to my accountant. And let's go. Let's do another receiving, and we will receive PO 2468. And notice you can unreceive. I'm not going to get into the unreceiving. However, everything you need to manage a purchase order, whether you're purchasing internationally, you have certain currency conversions, you have any kind of receiving requirements, E-Z-MRP has all of them there. I'm just not going to spend a lot of your time going over the details of the purchase order. And if you would like me to, just let me know, and I'd be happy to create a video just on the purchase order and the receiving of the order. So I'm going to receive in all of my raw material. I'm going to select OK. And I get my receiving document. So the only thing that I am not, it appears that I do not have received in yet, is 460 pieces of gum. And remember, we put in quite a quantity extra, so we know that that's not going to hinder our production. So now that that is done, I'm going to run my calculator because I just received in inventory. Anytime you perform a transaction and it requires an audit record, you must rerun the calculator. Excuse me. Rerunning that calculator just assures that, and even going into the reports, so many of the reports, like the buy report and make report, they will not allow you to enter them unless you have ran the calculators. Okay, we'll go to our supply side, and we're just going to go down the line here. We have 2,000 comp 1, so we have nothing to do there. We have comp 2, we have 1,000 on hand. Actually 10,000 on hand. So we're looking good there. Chewing gum, we have 1,600 pieces. And we have 80,000 feet of wire on hand. Okay, now, my bad, I should have taken in our unit of measure conversions. That's why those numbers are so large. But for this demo, I'm probably going to create a new demo, taking those unit of measures into consideration, because that's given us, well, actually, it's not a bad deal. That's so anyway, we'll carry on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and release the 50 sub-assemblies. These parts are now in WIP, and this is an audit record drawing down all of my inventory for everything that's in the BOM for that subassembly. And we're going to go back to SA1. I'm also going to release all 50 of them as well. Auto adjust inventory for kit of 50. Yes. And so now all I've got to do is complete my widgets. So once all my sub-assemblies are completed, I can release my widget. So we'll go back and we'll go forward in time. We'll say a few days have passed and our sub-assemblies are now complete. So I'm going to go to my sub-assembly. I'm going to complete them, bring them into inventory. And notice it says old balance of 50, exact quantity of this audit record is 50, so my new balance is 100, and it shows my standard cost and my actual cost of this bill of materials. Go to my sub-assembly white box, same thing. Increase quantity on hand for completion of 50 on work order 100. Done. And now that all of my assemblies, I'm going to go ahead and run my calculator one more time. And the calculators run pretty fast, and it's a good habit. We do have some customers that only run the calculators once a week for their forecasting. However, for training purposes, I run it as much as I can. Go back to my supply side, go to my widget, and I am going to go ahead and release my widget to the floor, have it be built. My work order 100 to the floor. Now that is being built. And for each assembly that I release to the floor, I can also print a kit list. So when I release these, I may want to go ahead and pull a kit list for each one. So I would select my assembly, and then I would select my work order, which is 50. And there's my pick ticket. Quantity planned, 300. Quantity released, 300. Quantity to pull. Your picker will put in the quantity that they've actually pulled. Here's the quantity that's available on hand for them to pick from, and then they can sign this or initial it and turn it in. And now in the work order automation tool, when you release every bill of materials that you release to the floor, it will auto create that pick ticket. And if you have a traveler, we can build your traveler right into E-Z-MRP. So instead of a pick ticket, we'll actually print up your traveler that has all your routings and your bill of materials references, bin locations, and how much to pull. And we are going to go in one last step to our widgets, and we're just going to complete them. So I'm going to complete 10. Increase quantity on hand for completion of 10. On order safety stock, yes. And I am going to fulfill my 50. Now, here's warning, there are still component shortages for this work order. So we may want to look at our shortages and see what we have short here. So I'm going to go ahead, increase quantity on hand. E-Z-MRP will allow me to go ahead and finish it because maybe it's an error on our part. We didn't get a part in there, or maybe it's an old shortage that really doesn't exist. So we have all of our parts there. And I'm going to run my calculator one more time. And I'm going to take a look at my shortages real quick. And I do. I have subassembly 1 and subassembly 2. It shows that so quantity on hand, and quantity on hand here for the SA1s is true. I am missing 20. Negative. Here. And here. And now you see my indicator. When I select my indicator, it changes my details. And I am short 10. Quantity on hand. So I'll have to go back and take a look at those items. And we will do that in our next video, building the widget part 5.